All right, everyone. Welcome tonight to Chapter 8 of our 15 Laws of Growth. This was my favorite chapter so far. I feel like I say that every week. And I absolutely love it. It is the law of pain is what we're discussing in Chapter 8, if I didn't say that already. I think one of the most valuable tools that John is giving us is how to make our past and our life experiences be something that help us grow and change. And actually just bringing it to our attention, all these laws of life, of growth, are helping us to either look back and process or to prepare for what we may process down the road. I think the law of pain is something that can be a sensitive subject. It also can be something that maybe some people haven't actually experienced yet. And so I do want to open it up and talk a little bit about any experiences that you all have had, and how you have gotten to know yourself better through the pain. It doesn't have to be like maybe you're still in it. Maybe you haven't found that growth yet, or maybe you have and you've just built some more confidence in how you talk about the pain that you've gone through. Some people are going through pain that still years later can't talk about it, but they know that they're growing from it. So wherever you are, know that this is not going to be a call that I will call you out on. This is just for you to open up and speak if you want to talk about it. And if you guys don't, that's okay. So don't feel pressured. So, but each time we encounter a painful experience, we get to know ourselves better. It's right from the beginning. So does someone want to start and talk about how they've walked through that already? Who wants to be first? Okay.
I can start. I know that when I have some kind of pain going on, I know that I distance myself from the people. Which is, I'm not doing it on purpose. I just do it to protect myself. And I step up a lot. So I keep busy, kind of, what's it called? Numbing. I'm very good at that. So you can tell that I might be in pain because I'm numbing really good and I'm go. And, well, I don't know if I really learned anything from it. I know that if pain happens to me, that I'm very productive and I can do it. So I'm not really afraid of something happening because I know I can do it.
Yeah, that's good. Well, you obviously, if there's a law of distraction in here in a positive way, you know how to facilitate at least your guard yourself. You're protecting yourself, from what's being brought to you by your pain. But if you can, hopefully take something from this chapter 2 and how to really dig into that a little bit and how to use that to help yourself grow, obviously that's the purpose of why we're doing this book and why we're here and talking about it. I think one of the, I just as well go and find it because I'm not going to be able to quote him right. He says, hold on. I didn't have too many places highlighted, so when I do, I know it's. Sorry, guys. I seriously have 3 things highlighted. Maybe I didn't highlight that part. The part where he says, you cannot see the positive of your pain until you're through it. You can't see it when you're in it. I totally can speak to that and just in my relationship with the Lord and how I went through my pain of the move last year. I trusted God that our move was the right choice for our family. And I trusted and I knew that, but I didn't understand it. I still ask why. I still struggled with it, especially when I was super depressed last year and was just not figuring it out. I wanted to be positive about it and I wanted to see the good, but I couldn't then. Now I can look back and be like, oh my gosh, when I did that made me grow. When I did this, or I faced this and I got up anyway, or I watched that video, I read that book, all those things are what I can look back on and see the positives of that hard time. So yes, there's growth that comes from the pain, And I know that's really minor pain compared to what many people have gone through. But for me, that's the most current, I would say, of what I've walked through and where I've felt the most growth of, a bad experience and the move wasn't necessarily a bad experience. It was just the timing in my life and having to deal with the change. So anyone else?
I guess I can say something. Yeah. So this chapter was very familiar to me, actually. I've worked on that subject quite a bit over the last few years. I don't know if you guys know, but we are a blended family. Marty has 3 girls from a previous marriage and then 3 girls with me. So that was always been a very rocky kind of way to, have a relationship started. And, like, his family is a little messed up. My family is not here and stuff like that. There's a lot of drama going on. And growing with that, and me being from a different country, was always been very difficult in basically not just merging the families, but also the belief systems and the values and stuff like that. So in Germany, not maybe not in Germany, but there's different values in the upbringing and stuff like that, how the culture is, as well as the culture here. So things in the beginning of our marriage never really mattered because it was, we didn't have kids. But then once my kids came into place, a lot of stuff has happened. And, where my values wanted to come in, how I wanted to raise a family. And, that brought obviously pain and difficulties with his girls and, jealousy, a lot of that, how the little girls were, it's just that kind of stuff. So what I have learned and what I can now apply actually with the plexus journey, which is pretty fascinating, I think, is like to be mindful of what the inner self-talk is. And to just kind of, when you are faced with these situations, I'm going to give you a specific example. Like I have been raised that I'm always very helpful. When we set the table, the family, everybody pitches in, everybody does something. And his girls are just not raised that way. They stand there and they watch my little girl set the table and stand there and think, oh, cute. And I would always get mad looking at them and thinking in my head, like, why are you watching the little girls? Why are you not helping? I don't understand how you guys can watch us struggle to put food on the table and you guys all just stand there and being served, wanting to be served. And I would be struggling really bad with anger about it. And, like that happened when I was pregnant and, like even when I had the baby, like there was many, many, many of those situations where people would just let me work and watch me do this. And so long story short, I would always, in the beginning of my journey, thought like they do this to be mad at me, or like they want to hurt me, or they, like that was like the self-talk, what I had going on. And what I have realized over the time is that it has nothing to do with me. There's nothing wrong with me. It's just that the way how they're not mindful of this. They don't realize this. They don't mean bad by it, and in my mind, it was always, they don't care, they don't care about me. They don't care about this. And it was very painful. And once I caught on to this, I was able to redirect the thoughts from they don't care to they're not aware. They're not aware that this is what's happening. I was becoming more aware in my journey than what they are. And I can apply this with a lot of different things, because now that I can overcome that mindset and that pain trigger where I would like always lose it and everything would just go, I can catch that trigger before the pain actually really happens. And I can say and redirect those thoughts and then actively say, hey, why don't you grab a plate? Can you help me out with this? And so this situation would usually went into negative, I'm able to redirect now because of my redirection of inner self-talk. And that situation, that mechanism can be applied to anything and everything. It can be, like my running. Every time I think like, oh my God, my muscles are getting tired, or it's weather stinks, or, whatever, I can purposely change my thought process and say, no, this is a fantastic, that's how I got through the 8-mile run with my triple stroller. I had no babysitter. Marty was working. I had nobody. and I had to run. So
You're
I just
amazing.
said, you know what? Every time I had in my mind, it's quality time with my girls. We have 2 hours just us in the nature, you know. So that's how I kept just telling myself this the whole time, and we ended up having a great time with that. You know, it's like we listened to princess songs the whole time, you know, and it was great. It was fantastic,
That's
you
awesome.
know. But I don't think I would have been able to do that if I would have not done that work, you know. So the
Yeah.
mindset and the inner self-talk, I guess, it's where the law of pain has actually really helped me work on that. So that was
Yep.
a very long share, sorry.
No, that's good. And it's practical. And it's how many times a day do we have that? I actually was just thinking about that today with just children and after school chaos and how like self-discipline, self-control, like just the stopping and breathing, like for me, like not yelling, like just stop and breathe and not yell at them, because when I yell, it just escalates everything. But I still yell, so I don't have self-control. That's what I'm saying. I need help with that. But like it's creating them to not have self-control. You know, like I need to work on it so much more, and it's just that like moment of, you know, in outside of like the big word of pain, like, I mean, it's a big word, but he does talk about just like bad experiences with things. And I was thinking about that today as we're driving late to basketball practice, because that's how I roll when I have to do it by myself and take 4 kids. I'm like, these experiences, like, is this normal or can it be changed? Like, can I actually be on time, have not yelled at my children, and actually got all the kids out the door with what they need for their practices? Like, can it get better? I know my mind can. That's all I can say. I'm not sure if my body and everything else like will function it, but I know my mind can at least change to where I at least have better self-control over the yelling around all that. But yes, I can.
I feel you though, by the way, on the yelling. That's like one of my biggest struggles too, like trying to make sure everything is and Brooke Castillo actually is a life coach. I don't know if you guys heard of her, but she's got some really good YouTube videos and podcasts and stuff going on. And what she had said is that, you know, when you feel overwhelmed, you actually have to get busier. And I thought it, like in the beginning, I thought like, what are you talking about? You have to get busier. And she was saying you have to plan better. And I'm trying to apply that too, because that's another area where I struggle too, with like trying to get out the door and having everything where it is. And, you know, so I just started to get more organized of here's the hats, here's the gloves, and as winter now comes, this is where it is. And I'm very strict when saying, you know, kids need to put their shoes on that spot. And people laugh about me. They say, you know, what, you're crazy. That's the only way this can function. And yeah.
Who's the health or the life coach?
It's Brooke Castillo.
Castillo.
Yeah.
And Brooke.
Yeah.
Okay. I always love listening to when I am doing things. I like to listen to podcasts and stuff that way. Okay, anybody want to talk about another personal experience? Otherwise, we can just kind of go through some of the things he says.
I had something that kind of like light bulbed for me. So obviously going through chemo and cancer and all that is a pretty painful experience. And I mean, I and the people around me, I think we all handled it pretty well. You know, we didn't ever take the like, woe is me way. So when he said, it's actually from a book that he referenced, that people who overcome bad experiences avoid the label of victim and take responsibility for moving forward. They don't say what happened to me is the worst thing in the world and I will never be free of it. They say what happened to me was pretty bad, but other people have it worse off, and I won't give up. They don't wallow in self-pity or ask why me, and that's a good thing, because it's one short step from why me to woe is me. And I just kind of related that, like, we all have bad experiences with plexus. You know, somebody falls off, you know, attrition, or somebody says they're going to order and they don't order. And it's like, if I, you know, like for me, I went through 9 months of tests and scans and this and that. And it's like, if I can get through that and have a good attitude, like, I think I can make it through Plexus pretty well, you know? So it's like, obviously, no, not everybody has that same like correlation that they can make with it. But I mean, all of us are pretty, you know, successful with where we are. Would we like to be better at what we do? Of course we would, but that's why we continue to get on, you know, a Zoom at 8:45 every Wednesday and read a book, you know, one chapter a week, and we're growing to do more things. So it's like, you know, there are people who have it worse off than us because they don't have a side gig that makes them $200 extra a month, or, you know, they don't have a probiotic that's better than what they can find at Target. So it's like, it just kind of put everything into perspective for me. Like, yeah, life is painful, and we just have to kind of move on past that, because you can take the why me kind of. So.
And I love your perspective. And I think it's just kind of that, like, stop and realize where you are in your journey and appreciate where you are. Because someone wants to be where you are. Someone who started, or someone who hasn't even started yet, this is what they're praying for, right? To either have this opportunity, or to not even about the business, but to be amongst friends that can be vulnerable and grow together by reading a book. You know, like, those are the things that some people just need and don't have, you know? So it is, you're so right. Someone always does have it worse. And, you know, truthfully, what I love about our community as a whole with Plexus is if someone's been through what you're going through. So finding that person to be encouraged from, or to, you know, to be poured into from them, is really what we have going for us. On page 123, he was talking about the circumstances of the 9/11 thing that she was talking, their story. And he never had to ask before, like, what does God want for me? What can I do in him by his power within me? How will he use me to touch others? And he says, I'm learning more about myself and about God. This is what Cheryl was saying. And that is something that, like, I want to reference, you know, like, my faith has grown so much in the last 2.5 years, almost 3 years, because Plexus itself was a leap of faith for me to do the products, to do the business. And I was trusting, like, I was praying. I mean, these were answers to prayers, to feel better, to make some income so we weren't so strapped financially, you know. And it was little things that I was praying for that it has helped with. But continually, I still ask, like, you know, okay, God, how are you going to use me in this? What can you, how can you help me either minister to others, or encourage one another, or empower people, or lift them up? You know, like, how can I be used? And this chapter made me think about, like, all the stuff that I have been through, even though it's only been a short amount of time with Plexus. I've been through a lot, to where just tonight I was on a phone call, you know, and was talking to someone, and it's like, my first 4 or 5 months, you guys, like, people don't even realize, like, I had to troubleshoot. I had trouble with these products. Like, it was hard for me, but I knew that I could feel better, right? That my IBS could be better. And it was all the stuff around me of the having more energy. I was sleeping better. You know, my cycles were more normal, and my mood swings were better. So those were, like, all positive things that were going on around me, but I was still having bloat, discomfort, you know, a cold sore here and there because I was detoxing, like, all the stuff that I was going through with my digestive stuff. It was that negative, like, I almost quit, like, a million times I almost quit, because I'm like, oh, I don't like to feel this way. But the positive stuff that was circling around me kept me going, and kept the belief of these products are going to work for me, you know? And so that's, like, not that that's pain, but just those, talking about the, you know, experiences that we go through and how we can help others. Like, that's one of them. You know, maybe you guys didn't have that with your products alone, but I mean, doing a 3-way call like tonight, I can share that with other people and encourage them to give it the 90 days, you know, to give it the time. So tangent, I do that all the time. Sorry. I'll get back to the book. I do want to talk about the pains, the specific ones on page 126 and 127. He called it his pain file. And I think for me, when I started, pain is such a, like, it is a word we all experience at some point. but we all like put it at a different like caliber, right? Like I think of pain as loss, trial, like extreme sadness, like, you know, not necessarily like something of pain of inexperience, right? Like, oh, maybe because I was a little immature and I didn't understand how to earn respect and influence from others. Like that to me didn't seem like pain, right? That just seems like a growing avenue, really. But these are what our people on our team are experiencing. Like there's people on our team that feel truly like that law of the lid. You guys haven't, if you were at Leaders Retreat, you've heard about it, but John Maxwell talks about it in his other books. The law of the lid is here, you know, and you can't, if you're here, I mean, your lid's here, you can't be any better than that lid. And if that pain is here, they've got to face that pain and they've got to grow from it in order to move past it. So I just want you guys to really like think about, out of all of these, maybe the top 2, 3 that you've had and how you've grown from it, or, you know, how you've walked through. And I'll tell you, like, the pain of traveling, I starred. And it says, my career has kept me on the road. It taught me the value of my family and motivated me to make most of our time together. You guys, I've never traveled as much as I've traveled since July. From Ruby Retreat to Hawaii to Chicago to Orlando. I'm going to Dallas. I'm back for 24 hours. I'm going to Arizona. Like, in managing a house and family of 4 in a marriage, like, it's been crazy. And I'm not saying it's been pain, but it's been growth, because I have had to learn how to balance this and manage it. And it's made me realize that, like, when I'm in my office, like, you guys, I was intentional before about my 2 hours of work or whatever, but I'm way more intentional now. You know, like, I don't want to be on my phone when I'm with my kids. And sometimes I used to sit on the couch with them and snuggle, and I'd scroll and I'd answer some messages. Now, no way, because I've only got 2 hours this week, you know, like, I mean, it's so much more, I don't know, just that, like, focused time with my family, focused on my work. And I love how they said you got to be not busier, but make the most of the time that you have. And I've had to be so much more. I mean, my schedule, my workouts are scheduled, my prayer time is scheduled, my everything is in my schedule this week, because I know that's all I've got. So that's just kind of my experience with these pains. I don't know if you guys have something that, like, any one of these stuck out to you, or how you feel about the word pain, or any of these. I look tired tonight.
Well, I met with a girl today and we walked and talked about plexus, and, you know, I found myself talking so much about, like, the community of plexus to her on top of the products, you know, but just sharing with her, like, how much just being around the people, the positivity and things like that. And, you know, it led me back to sharing my story of how I got started with her and things like that. And, you know, I remember when I was going through, like, when I went through my thyroid cancer and I had so much anxiety and my depression, I so pulled away from everybody and everything. And then all of a sudden, when I started feeling better, when I started plexus, I decided to put my health journey out there, and I was vulnerable and I was so freaked out, like Tracy. I mean, I was like, oh my God. And I remember at first, like, kind of actually, before I even shared about plexus, I shared about my health journey in general. And I remember regretting it at first. Like, why did I just put my vulnerability out there, you know, this and that? And it is so funny. Like, now, I swear, I think to myself, I would not be where I am today if I never would have just put myself out there and shared my pain at that time, because I cannot tell you just, like, how many people have felt comfortable coming to me talking about their thyroid cancer or their friend with this or that. And I mean, just the amount of people that have come into my life. And I just left today talking to that girl, my friend, just feeling so filled up, you know, like, gosh, I never would be doing this today with her if I never would have taken this. So, I mean, it's like, I did not understand it at the time. I was so frustrated and so sometimes just angry, you know, about, like, why am I going through this? I don't understand it. And now I just feel like I see kind of what I see the path he had me on, you know? So it's just, I could completely relate to this chapter with my experience and Plexus, because I do not think I'd be here if I would never have gone through my health struggles, you know. So that's been a big one for me that I can relate to.
Yeah.
So,
It's crazy. And wasn't it in here when it was talking about like just all the steps we go through or the things that we go through, how just how we don't have control over how the path goes or what each day looks like, but we have how we control it or how we handle it. I know it's in here. I swear I must not have been highlighting everything. I will say I multitasked tonight. I mean, I'll just be right out there. I was reading this like 2 hours ago. But I was reading it and putting away groceries. And my son goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Working." And he goes, "That's work?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "But you're doing 2 things at once." I'm like, "Multitasking. Like, haven't you ever seen this before?"
I think it's on page 129. If it's
Yep.
like not the way it's supposed to be, it's the way it is.
Yep. You got it. Can't control much of what happens in your life. However, you can control your attitude. You can choose to rise above your circumstances and refuse to allow your negative experiences to undermine who you are and what you believe. And I'll tell you, like, I have a lot of amazing friends, like a ton, just from like all avenues of my life, high school, college, Chicago, here, Texas. And when I am in a funk, you know, there's obviously people that you go to. But when I was in my biggest funk of last like fall, even those closest groups, I did not want to talk to. But do you know who I told? My Plexus people. Like, y'all knew what I was going through. Not maybe as deep as I was, but at least my level ones and the people that I was talking to regularly, I wasn't like holding it back. I wasn't telling everything at the time then either. But that's who I talked to about it. Like, and I think that it's because I knew in this space, the attitude of positivity and growth and change was already existing. That I knew that, you know, it's just like some groups you can get in and start talking about things, and it's just kind of that rabbit hole, you know, of negativity. Like, it can happen. And I don't feel that here. I know it can go there. I know it can do that with certain things. I lived through October of 2015 back office, so I know what it can be like, and it's not going to be like that next week. But I will say, like, I love the attitude that everyone brings to this, you know, and just taking the positive stance on what we've been through, just with Plexus and all in life too. Anything else anyone wants to just bring up that's on their mind? Oh, there it is. The part that I was looking for earlier. It was the last paragraph. It was just like, no matter what you've gone through in your life or what you're currently going through, you have the opportunity to grow from it. It's sometimes difficult to see the opportunity in the midst of the pain, but it's there. You must be willing to not only look for it, but pursue it. And as you do, perhaps the words of William Penn, English philosopher, will encourage you. No pain, no palm, no thorns, no throne, no gall, no glory, no cross, no crown. I think it's so true, like just overcoming what we overcome. And even like, you know, I shared with you guys, like, or most of you, I think you all knew, like, I was only a little over 100 points away from re-ranking Emerald. And like, I didn't want to do it because it was Halloween, to be truthful. Like, I didn't want to do it because I'm like, no one's going to want to work. They want to be with their family. Like, it's a holiday. Like, I'm just not going to do that. Like, and truthfully, it was my own doubt and my own just mind. And it took talking to Shannon, and she was like, "What are you thinking? Like, we've done this before. We'll do it again." You know, like it was like one of those things. And then I listened to a Jill Renfro live, which I'm obsessed with her. And it was just like, you're right. Like, why am I dwelling? Like, there's no dwelling. And this team amazed me. It was nerve-wracking at the end of yesterday and with everything with Halloween, but to pull it off just goes to show that, like, the experiences you go through, I mean, grow you, and just the pushes and all things that we've done through Plexus is totally like just turns the positive, you know, attitude around. And I love it. Yes, Rana?
I think it was pretty fun yesterday.
You thought it was fun? I know, right?
Yeah, I didn't even think it was like, I didn't even think about it like, oh, it's Halloween and now there's like a thing. I'm like, oh, cool. I can, and because the business is as you go, you can do it while you hop in the car or all that kind of stuff. And even signing up the ambassador yesterday, the kids were in bed and, and you do it on the couch, Hey, I was sitting there in my dress and handing out candies. I wasn't working.
I know, it looks so cute.
But, it's like, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I didn't even think, next time tell us what you do. Because you never say something and then, oh, now it makes sense. And I wish I would have known,
I know. Well, to be honest with you, like, it was something for me, like, honestly, walking through it for the first time, you guys, like, going Emerald in July was huge, and it was hard, there was work, but I have ranked every single month without push, without work, and to be at the cusp of it and just be like, seriously, do I deserve that? Is it okay? Should I push? Like, there's so much that goes through this mind. But it was awesome, and I'm super glad that we did, and I cannot wait for November's here, but like the new back office, and just, we're going to experience lots of growth these next couple weeks. Anybody want to add anything else about the Law of Pain? I know, it was a really good chapter that I wish we could really just have so many people on here, because I know their experiences would bring value to all of you too. And it's one that I hope doesn't go unnoticed. Seriously, if I talk about this book, I'm going to tell people to pick it up and read chapter 8. Like, you're not going to read it, just read chapter 8.
Just ending, it's such a simple quote, but I loved it. It just says, a bend in the road is not the end of the road unless you fail to make the turn. Yeah. And I think that can apply to anything. Yep. We're always going to have those little hiccups, but if you throw up your hands and say you're done, then it's easy as that. It's just making those little changes. So I thought that was really good.
It is.
And I'm sorry that I'm Tracy Stein again. I don't know. I logged off and I can't figure out how to get it back.
It's so crazy. Yeah. I had to do it before too, because I was Megan another night. Yeah. You can log out on your computer and then just log back in as you, and it should work.
I tried. I'll try it again though.
Maybe clean your history, like clean the cookies or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's something I was going to say about, I don't remember now. I had an ending thought, but it lost me. Well, thank you all for being on. I'm glad you all were. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't say anything until like 2 hours ago, but Wednesday night we're here. I'm like, we can talk about this like towards the end of the month, but, or even December, but I'm looking forward to, like, we can take a couple weeks break, but just picking up a new book and like this just being a thing. We can always change the night, if it's a different group, we can work, I'd say maybe Thursday night's better for people or whatever in January. But I absolutely love this, because you guys, it's keeping me, it's keeping the margin of personal development in for me, but not overwhelming me that I need to go sit down and read a book. It's just a chapter a week. It's doable. I'm processing it with you all. I'm growing. Like, I just feel like this is what the team needs, is these like baby steps of like big things happening. So ponder on that. Thank you all for being on tonight. I haven't posted it yet, but I'm doing a team call on Sunday night at 8:30. So I'm going to try to bring it back in at 8:30, because that is fallback. So we all might be a little tired come Sunday night. So anything else? All right. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Trace.
Thank you.